Hello everyone and welcome back guys to round 7 of, well, season 2 of the F1 2018 Williams Road to Glory career mode, where today we're here at the Canadian Grand Prix. Obviously looking to try and, well, continue the point run they're actually on at the moment. If you guys did miss out on the last episode, I would highly recommend going back and checking it out. Carl has luckily brought us some good news moving into round 7 of the season. We have got the double aerodynamic upgrade on the car, 2 major upgrades. That is really useful. We've got the front wing cascades as well, as I'm not too sure what the other upgrade was. In terms of car performance then, as you can see, we are right with, I think it's Sauber, Force India, and also Haas, as I think you can clearly see on your screen. So yeah, we're certainly making progress at the moment. We're going to try and pile on a couple more aero upgrades. As you can see, we're now pretty much mid-pack in terms of the aerodynamics, and we've got 1,400 R&D points to play with as well, which would be another double upgrade moving into this Grand Prix weekend as well, which should move us ahead of Renault and McLaren there, and we'll be right with Mercedes, which, you know, I didn't think I'd be expecting to say this early on in this series. But yeah, as I said, if you did miss out on the Monaco Grand Prix, went up a couple of days back, I would highly recommend going back and checking it out. A little bit of an apology from me as well. Unfortunately, the weekend was quite hectic on the whole, meaning I couldn't get any episodes out. So yeah, I'm going to try and, well, once again, gain a bit more consistency with this series throughout the course of this week. Free practice, though, moving into the Canadian Grand Prix was a, you know, fairly sort of standard free practice session. You can see we were able to get quite a few R&D points in the end there. I think that was, how many was that overall? Quite a lot by the end of the session there. 357 R&D points now takes us up to 586, which will mean we've actually got enough R&D points for another upgrade on the car. Unfortunately, we've maxed out our aerodynamic department once again, so we are actually going to go for a different upgrade as well here. We're actually going to try and go for the engine upgrade on this car. You know, it's definitely a strong part of this car, but I'm really sort of mainly focusing on the aero, and, well, I think all the chassis upgrades we've got going at the moment are all like 1,200 R&D points. So, you know, I've decided to go with the engine for this next one. And yeah, as I've said a couple of times in the past, we are right there now as a midfield runner. You know, when we get these extra upgrades on the car, I think we should actually jump the 3 teams ahead of me as we move into the French Grand Prix next time out. So very tightly bunched. You know, usually we can sort of negate the car deficit ever so slightly as well, which is why we've been able to score a good couple of points over these last few rounds as well. This car is just simply right there in terms of performance, which is obviously really good to see. I'm really looking to try and continue my points runs in this series at the moment, but obviously Canada as well, it's a track I quite enjoy. It's a track that I've usually gone well at. It should suit this car as well. It is quite a power-based circuit, and as we move into qualifying then, the first run in qualifying 1, you know, it should be fairly simple to move through into Q2. I will say I did get helped out quite a lot by Pierre Gasly here, giving me slipstream throughout pretty much my entire lap there. Means we actually go purple at that early stage of the session there. I imagine Pierre probably gave me a good sort of 2-3 tenths after Q1. They can see we actually went through as P6 400ths quicker than Kimi Räikkönen, who was just 2 thousandths quicker than Fernando Alonso as well. So certainly, you know, I will take that from Q1 there, be able to carry through quite a bit of momentum into the next session. Considering my teammate Lance Stroll was less than a second off and only came P17 there, you can really just see how tight it really is in this season. You can see, well, pretty much everyone bar Toro Rosso is separated by near enough a second there or thereabouts. You can just see how far Toro Rosso are now well and truly off the pace in this series. It'd be nice to see them make a little bit of a comeback. You know, means that everyone has a really good shot of scoring points in this series. But honestly, it doesn't bother me too much on the other hand as well, as you know, it's one car that we can very easily beat in this series. Onto my Q2 run there, you see coming through in towards the final couple of corners here. Attack the curbs through the final chicane, actually attack the wall there ever so slightly as well. Down towards the line, it's going to be a 1 minute 8.5 in that second run of the session there, and we're actually, well, we make a wonderful double lockup into T1 there. Unfortunately, you're going to have to completely bear out of that, but this is where things start to go a little bit strange. I returned to garage as normal, and then I'm not really too sure what came over me here, but I went back into the session info, and, well, I don't know why, but I decided to click skip to race. I'm not sure why. We made it into Q3, as you can see there. I wasn't, in all honesty, expecting to make it into Q3 either. But yeah, we may have cocked that one up ever so slightly there, which means, unfortunately, you know, we're not going to be able to have a challenge. You know, we're not going to be able to give our challenge in Q3 there, which is a little bit unfortunate. Yeah, as I said, not really too sure what came over me there. I just decided, yeah, we'll go into the race now. I don't know if it was just I wasn't expecting to get into Q3. But yeah, unfortunately that means qualifying was over for us. But let's move on then into... So here we are then, round 7 of Season 2 of the F1 2018 Williams Road to Glory, and we head over to Montreal. It would actually be Sebastian Vettel who would take home the race victory last season, and I'm sure he's hoping to repeat that feat today, obviously after a very... Well, you know, we had 4 very strong races at the start of the season, and now that gap has completely eroded to his teammate Kimi Räikkönen. They are tied on 100 points moving into round 7 of this season. But Seb, yeah, as I said, would win last season's Grand Prix ahead of Hamilton, Räikkönen, Ricciardo, Bottas, Verstappen. Sergio Perez would come through for P7 there as best of the rest ahead of Alonso, Carlos Sainz and Nico Hülkenberg. It would be a race to forget for myself, as unfortunately we'd finish, well, I say finish, we wouldn't even finish in that Grand Prix. Unfortunately, we retired 3 laps into the race after a, well, abysmal mistake by myself there. Unfortunately, taking out quite a few cars with me in the process there. But yeah, as I said, Sebastian Vettel and Kimi Räikkönen tied on 100 points as we move into round 7 of the season. Obviously, the team took the first 5 victories, and then obviously we were the ones that were able to stop that race winning streak there. But I think Kimi Räikkönen still came through for P3 in that Grand Prix. In terms of the grid for today, though, it would actually be the Finns locking out the front row there. Kimi Räikkönen ahead of Valtteri Bottas, with Seb and Lewis, their teammates, on row 2. Daniel Ricciardo and Alonso would be on the 3rd row there, with the Force Indians rounding out row 4. We'd finished 25 million seconds off the pace in Q3, but then you can see it was the Renaults, the Haas, Max Verstappen with a grid penalty further down the order, as well as my teammate Lance Stroll here. So certainly a little bit of a mixed up grid moving into round 7 of the season. Now means we're at the 3rd way stage of Season 2 of this career mode as well. But let's move on then into the Canadian Grand Prix.
We're higher on the grid than we expected. Let's see if we can do even better.
So the team very, very happy with what we were able to achieve in qualifying. We were obviously moving up into Q3, and it will be a fairly textbook tube-stock Grand Prix for ourselves. Hypersoft onto 2 sets of Ultrasofts, obviously, if the tyres can make it. But yeah, we're going to up the front wing angle as well. 3/6 wings for this Grand Prix. But here we are then on the grid, ready for round 7 here at the Canadian Grand Prix. It is 5 lights here. A very long hole, but it is finally lights out and away we go. And actually up to a phenomenal start there, getting a good run on Esteban Ocon as we come in towards turn 1. We will have the inside for the first corner, but obviously outside in towards turn 2. We will be able to swing it right around his outside through turn 2 here. It will slot in just behind me there, so we are at 1 place off the grid there now, under the P8 of this Grand Prix here as we come through the first chicane there, a little bit running wide through the first spot here, but now all over the back of Sergio Perez. A huge concertina effect there, as it's actually Sebastian Vettel trying to have a look around the outside of Valtteri Bottas here. See on the minimap, Kimi Räikkönen has already made a huge breakaway at the start of this Grand Prix. Esteban Ocon will try to have a look around the outside in towards the the third chicane there, but would not be able to make it stick as we come out in towards the hairpin corner here. We're going to use a little bit of a rich revs here. Ocon tries to have a look up my inside. He's going to send a dive bomb up the inside of 4 cars there. Lewis Hamilton and Fernando Alonso to actually take evasive action from that one there. We move past Sergio Perez, but obviously lose the place to the other Force India car there. And now we're trying to look around the outside of Fernando Alonso. That Mclaren actually has a very strong Renault power unit in it at this stage of the season. To the outside in towards the final chicane. This will probably never work out on the whole there, as we actually do make it work in the end then. Now up into P7. Yellow flags though are out, and there has been a huge pile-up towards the rear of the field here. We're going to have to look on the replay cameras as to what has happened here. We've got Carlos Sainz just a little bit further back. I mean, we're actually 3 wide going into that final corner there. Sergio Perez would unfortunately face the short straw there. Well, Carlos Sainz, nowhere to go, would run straight to the side of him there. That's one of the wheels completely ripped off that Renault car there. As we have a look further down the order, it would just be a huge concertina effect as we come through the final corner. Nico Hülkenberg, nowhere to go there, runs straight to the back of his teammate, and actually be Stoffel Van Dorn that would face the short straw there. Unfortunately, you get very unlucky. Go into the rear of Nico Hülkenberg there and just get sent right the way around there. I think it was one of the Haas cars came into the rear of him, facing now in the wall there. But just look at the destruction as we came through the final couple of corners there. Somehow, No virtual safety car, no safety car, absolutely anything from that. So it would simmer down onto the end of lap 5. We would actually dive into the pits for my first of 2 stops in this Grand Prix. There a little bit of, yeah, I'm not too sure what I make of that. Obviously, no safety car, no virtual safety car. Generally speaking, you know, a car parked on the exit of the Wall of Champions is usually not a good sign for a Formula 1 racetrack, but we do come through for my first pit stop. It was clear that the tyres would really start to struggle towards the end of the stint, so yeah, that was going to be something we'd have to watch for throughout the entirety of this Grand Prix there. But we come back out in P11 here, and this would actually be a fantastic option for me in this Grand Prix, because obviously with all those guys getting involved in that pile-up at the start of the Grand Prix, this meant for teams like myself, Force India, they both got through that incident fairly unscathed on the whole. You know, all the other guys, you know, McLaren, Renault, Haas, Max Verstappen as well, would all have to make a very slow tube-stop Grand Prix here, which means for teams like us, we had a really good shot at scoring some decent points here. As you can see, we came back out ahead of Sergio Perez here, and now we were all over the back of my teammate Lance Stroll here, hoping he won't hold us up all too much in his home Grand Prix. Down the inside we go in towards the second chicane there. A little bit of a weird move, but I would certainly take that here on lap 8 of this Grand Prix. And yeah, for us now, obviously it was just a case of playing out our strategy, see where we would end up in this Grand Prix here. You see, moving on, a couple of Esteban Ocon would actually be all over the back of me here as we come down in towards the third chicane here. Fortunately for me, well, he'd have one of the biggest lockups I think I've ever seen in my life there, and well, we would be able to hold on to P8 after that huge mistake from him. On to lap 11 though, lap 12 even, of this race. Now we were all over the rear of Brendan Hartley here, coming down in towards the hairpin. Obviously that Toro Rosso really struggling for race pace here. Quite a power orientated circuit, as I'm sure you guys are all well known, and obviously that Toro Rosso certainly does not have a power orientated car, as we just, well, fly past him like he's standing still down the back straight here. Now back up into P7 of this Grand Prix. I think, well, there's only one car that's higher than us best of the rest of the moment, and that is Charles Leclerc. Once again here, has had a fantastic season so far in this championship, obviously, and I'm sure they'll be looking to try and continue that good run for the Sauber team. Onto the end of lap 14, it will actually be Lewis Hamilton that would dive into the pit lane, be the first of the, well, top guys to make their second and final stop here, so we would actually come out just ahead of him in this Grand Prix. We would dive into the pit lane a couple of laps later. As you can see, onto the end of lap 16, as I said, we will be diving into the pit lane on the end of that lap here, and I was, well, you know, it was certainly going quite well for me at this stage of the day. Obviously, a couple of drivers would be able to re-inherit their positions over me here, Esteban Ocon and Charles Leclerc. Hopefully we could potentially get back past Ocon towards the end of this Grand Prix, but I think it'd be Nico Hulkenberg as well would actually just get past me as well in this Grand Prix. A little bit late to release the pit limiter. That, kids, is why you don't check Twitter and drive, because, well, you let off the pit limiter a bit too late. But yeah, we were still up in P9 at the halfway stage of this Grand Prix. On to the end, though, of lap 25. And as I said, you know, this race was sort of just simmered down for myself. We had Sebastian Vettel just in front of me at this stage of the day. Esteban Ocon just behind me, you know, sort of 4.5 seconds between all of us here. And by the end, though, of the end of the Grand Prix, Charles Leclerc, we'd actually close up massively to him just as the tyres would unfortunately go off there. But Kimi Raikkonen, win number 2 in this season there, makes it 6 wins from 7 for the Scuderia Ferrari team now. I'm sure they'll be very happy with that. That will mean Kimi as well will inherit the championship lead for the first time, I think, since Australia 2013 here. But through the final couple of corners, though, it'll be P7 for myself. A quiet Grand Prix, but I will certainly take those 6 points.
Alright, race over. Take care of the car on the way in.
That's a fantastic performance from Ferrari. It hardly looked in doubt. So, how exactly did they set themselves apart from the pack today?
A reliable car, that was the most important factor here. This was a real battle of attrition, and you could tell those at the front were trying to find a balance between running their outright pace and taking care of the car to reach the end.
And now it's time to wind down and celebrate after that fantastic Grand Prix. Here they come, your top three, out onto the podium. And now let's take a look at the driver's standings. Kimi Räikkönen.
So there we are then. Kimi Räikkönen would take home the race victory here in Canada there. His second race win of the season means he now inherits the championship lead in the Drivers' World Championship there, with Lewis Hamilton coming through for P2 and Valtteri Bottas in P3, though I'm sure Mercedes will be fairly happy with that double podium, but still hunting down that elusive Season 2 win. With Daniel Ricciardo coming through in P4, Sebastian Vettel all the way down in P5. That means his teammate is, well, pulled like 15 points in the Drivers' Championship there, with Charles Leclerc in P6 and myself in P7. Obviously, Charles able to manage the one-stop Grand Prix there, so that was why. Considering he only finished 8 tenths ahead of me there, we will certainly take that. And although not, obviously, technically, I will definitely like to consider myself as best of the rest there. Ahead of Esteban Ocon and Sergio Perez in the 2-4 Indies there, with Nico Hülkenberg able to still take home 1 point from that Grand Prix, with Alonso just missing out ahead of Brendan Hartley, and then Stoffel Van Dorn and my teammate Lance Stroll that would unfortunately finish 1 lap down and in the last runners of the Grand Prix. Kevin Magnussen, Max Verstappen, Grosjean, Gasly, Ericsson and Carlos Sainz. 6 retirements from the Grand Prix. It was certainly quite a crazy one in that sense there, and I'm sure they'll all be looking to try and move in towards the next couple of rounds to finish off in those races. A double Haas DNF there. I'm sure they are very, very disappointed with that. In terms of the Drivers' Championship, yeah, as I said, Kimi Räikkönen now inherits the Drivers' Championship lead there. Valtteri Bottas would finally jump me in the Drivers' Championship there, but obviously Grosjean would lose points as well. Means we're 2 points clear of Charles Leclerc. He seems to sort of be my rival at this stage of the season there. But yeah, as I said, Grosjean falling down the order ever so slightly. Brendan Hartley would be the only other mover in the Drivers' Championship. Still with no points though, but he would actually move past my teammate Lance Stroll, which means once again my teammate Lance Stroll is actually last in the Drivers' World Championship. Certainly not pulling his weight in this team there, obviously after Brendan Hartley's fairly decent finish there. I think it was, what, P12, P13 in the Grand Prix. So, you know, he now moves ahead of Lance Stroll based on best result there. In the Constructors' standings, though, a few changes actually up and down the order. Obviously, Ferrari will still comfortably lead in the Constructors' standings. Obviously, I think they've still got near enough a 3 race victory over Red Bull, now just 2 points clear of Mercedes. Sauber would jump McLaren there and now tied with, which is obviously showing how much improvement both Williams and Sauber have made in this Drivers' World Championship. McLaren have actually got a very, very quick car, but I don't know what it is, they just can't seem to utilise it in this championship. But there we are then, guys. That has been round 7 of the season. We are now over a third of the way through Season 2. More upgrades piling on the car as we move into round 8 at the French Grand Prix next time out. Hopefully now we will be well and truly a midfield runner in this championship. Looking to try and continue on my point scoring run in this championship. But hopefully, as I said, you guys have enjoyed. And hopefully I will see you guys next time for the French Grand Prix.